Hello, welcome to my Batchat 12T Mastery gameplay replay on Abbey. Abbey, as you're well aware, is a particularly rubbish map for a light tank, but nevertheless with some luck and knowing some of the right positions you can get a decent game like this one. And certainly over here on the 8-9 line, with some support from the team and with some good luck, you can get a cracking amount of spotting if the enemy come down this 8-9 line. So the position is over here. It can be risky getting to it. Sometimes you can be spotted, especially if there's a couple of quick tanks on the enemy team. The M41 Bulldog comes down here, but he doesn't spot me. I cut right a bit early and go through the deeper part of the water, which has slowed me down and get into the rocks. Nevertheless, I get onto the rocks. You've got to be careful. They are really slippery, and if you make one movement and fall off, you're not going to recover it back. The M41 Bulldog gets a hit, and he decides to turn around in a minute and disappear, and we'll see him a bit later on in the game. So into the magic bush, being careful not to get spotted, and you'll see all of those enemy tanks coming down that side. The 50 TP for some reason just commits and decides that he's going to go for it, and he pays the price in the end, which is lovely for me because that's 2,500 spotting damage already. Note the M41 Bulldog as he disappears back up that line, and we'll see him again later. Now I want the artillery and the tanks that are with me and support behind me to shoot the Scorpion in particular, because I do think that the Scorpion is one of the larger threats there, and I'd rather see him dead and out of the way, and we'd come across the Scorpion again later. Nevertheless, what I want to cover whilst we're going through this is a bit of decision making, some map awareness mistakes that I make, and also a YOLO that I got away with, from which hopefully we can all learn something and make our gameplay just that little bit better. So I get bored and decide to put one into the Scorpion myself, and finally he gets a hit from the artillery. At that point he probably decides to turn back. In terms of map awareness, what I've done here then is I've probably stayed in this position for a bit too long. Slightly overcautious. I look for a shot on the Centurion. I can't get one. It's red. It's pointless shooting him. And I eventually decide to leave the soap rocks. Still waiting here for a spot on the Scorpion G, which is probably not actually going to be in that location anymore anyway. He's probably somewhere in A7. So the T-32 and the Object 430 push up. I decide that I'll probably go with them. Carefully offer the soap rocks. And start whizzing up the 7-8 line to join them. Now what I didn't notice is the M41 Bulldog, which is almost into our base there, right in the south. So there's your first lesson, map awareness. You must keep checking the map as you play in the game. I spot him, do the handbrake turn because it's cool, note the Progetto, note the 41 Bulldog, think I must get back to base in order to prevent them capping out or destroying what's on there, destroying the defenders. Nevertheless, the base defense does a good job. The M41 by the time I get there is dead. The Progetto's in a good position for me, so hopefully I can get around the corner, pop a couple of shots into him, which I do, take the kill. And I'm conscious that the T-49 is up on that edge somewhere, and I'm conscious that his gun is particularly nasty for light tanks. Spotted him. I don't think it was me though. Missed the first. Shot in with a second. Notice that he disappears back up the track, so therefore hasn't got shots on me. I'm reloading and decide that I'll go and pop some into the 4202, which dies before I can get there. This is the YOLO decision. What I decide to do here without fully remembering how many hit points the T-49 had, was to decide that I would go and take him on as a one-on-one. That is the most ridiculous thing I've probably done in terms of a decision in this game. He's got a gun that can one-shot me. I've got 4 shots. I didn't realise what my clip capacity was. It's something like 680 average. Why did I go and do this? I don't know. I need all 4 to land and to ram him in order to kill the bloke. He misses. Lucky me. I get 3 into him, bounce 1. I needed all 4 to land. I needed all 4 to be high rolls. It's here that I realise that I've really messed up, so I make a run for it. Dive off the side of the cliff. Make it and get saved by the 704 in base, which is really lucky. Looking at these guys coming down this way, I look for shots between the houses which I can't get because it's not there. I then decide that I'll use this bush and I won't go beyond this bush and see if these guys can push in, and if they push in I can be able to smash them from the side, which would be rather useful. But they're a bit brighter than the average bear and they decide that they're not going to do that, they're going to sit still. So I'm still looking for shots, waiting for these guys to make that stupid decision to move. They're that unusual sort of player that doesn't, which is rare. One of them dies, probably putting a couple of the others off coming further. So I then think, well, they're not going to move anymore. I'll go and put some pressure on the base. The 430 and the T32 are seeming to do alright, so if I can create a diversion, a crossfire, by getting to the other side, the west side of the base, then perhaps we can create some sort of momentum and be able to push in and break the defence of the base. So round a go. Find the STRV up in a bush. He turns towards me. That's when I start to shit my pants and move away. Again, this is another piece of poor decision making here. What I then decide to do is to go around to where the Ferdinand is and see if I can get shots up through the Ferdinand. But of course what's happening by the time I get round to the Ferdinand is that he's the only one that's spotted. The 430's just died, which means that every single gun that's up there, including that Scorpion that I would wish to died earlier, would be looking at him. So what is the point of me poking up here just to get whacked by an STRV followed by a Scorpion? Bad decision. Back around I go. At this point, before I get back round, the STRV has just killed the Ferdinand, so he's backing off. He's going to want to cover this part of the map. So I see him start to turn towards me, so I decide that the best thing for me to do now is to go and try and find that Carnarvon. So one of the best things about light tanks, of course, is the mobility, so you can get around the battlefield quite quickly. But of course the downsides to being quite mobile is that whilst you can get out of trouble quite quickly, you can also get yourself into trouble quite quickly, and you can get yourself deeper into trouble in a light tank as well. So I've met the 2 other tanks coming the other way, knowing therefore that the Carnarvon is not down that side of the map, so he must be up this side. So creating the diversion by going to put the pressure on the base did cause the Carnarvon to turn back. Find him, I auto-aim, managed to bounce 1. Of course the disbenefit with auto-aim is that it aims naturally at the turret. And of course on a Carnarvon the turret's going to be quite tough. And there I was outplayed by artillery. What a surprise. Which is also a great shame. But here are the end plates. It was a mastery despite the mistakes that I made. Top of the team and experience, 1226 base XP. Not bad considering I haven't played this tank more than 10 times. And 5th for damage of 1800 odd. Thanks ever so much for watching. I hope you've learnt something from that. Drop me a like, that would be really useful. Come back and see some of the videos that I do again and leave a comment below. Thank you very much.